In a world obsessed with perfection, self-sufficiency, and the armor of invulnerability, we often forget the immense power that lies in embracing our weaknesses. We hide behind social facades, curate our lives on social media, and present an image of ourselves that is flawless, unshakable, and untouchable. But what if I told you that the very thing we fear, our vulnerabilities, could be the key to unlocking our truest potential, to becoming the fullest version of ourselves? What if the act of embracing vulnerability isn't a weakness at all, but a strength and a path to true personal growth? This is not just a contemporary idea. In fact, this concept is at the core of the philosophy of one of the most influential thinkers in modern history, Friedrich Nietzsche. A philosopher who often challenged conventional wisdom, Nietzsche's ideas continue to shape how we think about power, strength, and personal transformation. As we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, Nietzsche's ideas on vulnerability, courage, and human flourishing are more relevant than ever before. In this essay, we'll explore why embracing vulnerability is crucial in 2025 through the lens of Nietzsche's philosophy. Before we dive deeper, I want to extend a warm welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. Here on the Unfolding Journey, we explore powerful philosophical ideas, self-growth, and personal transformation. Our aim is to help you become more aware of yourself, understand the world better, and ultimately, live a richer, more fulfilling life. If you're passionate about expanding your mind and embracing the complexities of life, you've come to the right place. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on these transformative discussions. In contemporary culture, we're told that vulnerability is something to avoid. Vulnerability is often perceived as synonymous with weakness, and to be strong, we are taught, is to appear invulnerable. Think about how we talk about success. Never let them see you sweat. Fake it till you make it. Push through the pain. These phrases reinforce the notion that the ideal version of ourselves is one who has mastered control, one who doesn't show cracks, one who isn't soft or emotionally exposed. But what if Nietzsche had something different to say about vulnerability and strength? At first glance, Nietzsche's philosophy may seem to advocate for an unyielding, almost aggressive form of self-mastery, one in which there is no room for weakness. But upon closer inspection, Nietzsche's ideas go far beyond simple physical or emotional toughness. He introduces a much deeper exploration of what it means to be human, and in this exploration, vulnerability plays an essential role. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch or Overmensch is often misunderstood as a vision of a superhuman, someone who transcends weakness through sheer will and power. However, the true essence of the Übermensch is not about hiding one's vulnerabilities, but about transcending them. It's about embracing vulnerability as a necessary part of the human condition and using it to grow and evolve into a more authentic version of oneself. To understand how Nietzsche connects vulnerability with human flourishing, we must first explore his concept of the will to power. This is one of Nietzsche's central ideas, and it speaks to the fundamental drive within every individual to assert themselves, to grow, and to overcome obstacles. However, the will to power isn't about domination or control over others. It's about mastering oneself, confronting one's fears, and pushing beyond personal limitations. For Nietzsche, true power comes not from hiding our vulnerabilities, but from confronting them head-on. The will to power is an internal force that seeks growth through struggle. Vulnerability, in this context, is not a barrier to power but a gateway. It is through vulnerability that we recognize the areas where we need to grow, where we are weak, where we are afraid. These are the places where we can exercise our will to power, where we can transcend our limitations and become stronger. Nietzsche famously said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." This doesn't simply refer to physical suffering, it speaks to the psychological and emotional struggles we face. When we face our vulnerabilities, when we allow ourselves to experience the full range of human emotions, fear, sadness, anger, doubt, we expose ourselves to the possibility of transformation. Vulnerability is the crucible in which we forge strength. The role of suffering in personal growth. One of the most significant ways Nietzsche connects vulnerability to strength is through his understanding of suffering. Suffering is often seen as something to be avoided at all costs. But Nietzsche, in his characteristic way, turns this assumption on its head. Rather than seeing suffering as something that breaks us, he believes that suffering has the potential to shape us into stronger, more resilient individuals. In his work Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche writes, "He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you." This suggests that facing hardship, confronting our inner demons, and embracing our weaknesses is essential to our growth. However, Nietzsche warns that without self-awareness, this process can also lead to destruction, as it can cause us to become consumed by our struggles and lose our humanity in the process. The key, then, is not to avoid vulnerability but to confront it consciously. By doing so, we engage in a process of self-overcoming, which, in Nietzsche's philosophy, is the path to becoming the Übermensch. It is only through acknowledging and accepting our vulnerabilities that we can push beyond them, gaining new wisdom and strength in the process. Vulnerability and authenticity. In the modern age, authenticity is often touted as a virtue, yet it is frequently misunderstood. In a society where we're expected to conform to norms, trends, and expectations, true authenticity requires the courage to show up as our most vulnerable, unfiltered selves. This is where Nietzsche's notion of the will to power intersects with the idea of authenticity. Both are about self-expression and the courage to be who we truly are, even if it means confronting parts of ourselves that we may find uncomfortable or unflattering. Nietzsche believed that the most authentic individuals are those who embrace their vulnerabilities, who refuse to be bound by social conventions and the expectations of others. They are the ones who dare to create their own values and live according to them, even if it means facing rejection or criticism. For Nietzsche, authenticity was not about projecting an image of strength, but about the relentless pursuit of self-understanding, which requires being honest about our weaknesses and fears. In the context of 2025, when social media often pressures us to curate an idealized version of ourselves, embracing vulnerability may be the key to finding real connection. In a world that seems increasingly superficial, the ability to be vulnerable and authentic is an act of resistance. It is a rebellion against the forces that encourage us to hide behind masks and personas. The social dimension of vulnerability. Nietzsche's philosophy is often seen as individualistic, but he also had profound insights into the social dimension of human life. For Nietzsche, embracing vulnerability isn't just a personal journey, it also has social implications. It can challenge societal norms, question traditional values, and promote a culture of greater openness and self-awareness. By being vulnerable, we invite others to do the same, creating spaces where real connections can flourish. In a time when mental health struggles are increasingly recognized as central to human well-being, the ability to openly discuss vulnerabilities without fear of judgment is more crucial than ever. Nietzsche's idea of vulnerability calls for a re-evaluation of the traditional structures that prevent us from being open and honest with each other. It advocates for a world where we are not afraid to show our wounds, as these are the very places where healing and growth can occur, both individually and collectively. As we move into 2025, the relevance of Nietzsche's ideas continues to resonate in profound ways. In a world that often prioritizes superficial success, perfection, and invulnerability, embracing vulnerability may be the antidote to our collective disconnection and fear. Nietzsche teaches us that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a vital step in the process of self-overcoming. It is through confronting our fears, accepting our weaknesses, and acknowledging our suffering that we can unlock our truest potential and become more authentic, more powerful, and more resilient individuals. As we embrace vulnerability, we become part of a larger movement toward authenticity and connection, not just as individuals, but as a society. Nietzsche's vision of the Übermensch calls us to transcend our limitations, but it also calls us to confront our vulnerabilities with courage, grace, and self-compassion. Thank you for joining me on this philosophical journey today. If you found this discussion thought-provoking and inspiring, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can stay updated with all our future explorations on philosophy, personal growth, and transformation. Remember, the unfolding journey toward understanding yourself and the world begins with one step. And today, you've taken it. See you in the next video.